So Animal Care and Control of New York City is a not-for-profit organization, and I am so grateful to be here because so many people don't really know ACNC, as we call it, and also don't really know what the animal kingdom really is in New York City. We take in any animal in need that comes through our doors, so we turn nothing away. So what we see in a typical year is 30,000 animals. So on an average, if you average it out, it could be 80 to 100 animals every day. Each of these animals have a story. There's so much to tell about them. I have so many photographs, but it's incredible. 30,000, it's a story of 30,000 characters with 4 legs, some less than 4 legs. They're great animals. They're pets. They were somebody's pet. They belonged to someone at some point, or maybe they were born as a puppy on the street and then abandoned. We just don't know their story, but we have someone who came in, he found his dog at our shelter in Brooklyn. He couldn't take the dog back that night, but he told us, well, my dog is kosher. So I'll be back tomorrow, but 30,000 animals, we don't really have a choice of diet. So we said, well, if you can come back with a Tupperware of your kosher food, we'll figure it out. I have to say, I'm pretty sure that dog chowed down on some non-kosher food at one time. When I was thinking of some of the stories, we create their stories because we don't know what happened previously. There are also some really exotic stories. So these are all the dogs and cats and rabbits, really just like waiting for this second chance. But then there's a whole group of animals that you wouldn't think of in terms of New York City. This city is just, there are lots of animals in here and they're not pets. And New York City has a lot of rules about what's a pet and what isn't. And if you happen to get either in trouble with the law or someone comes into your apartment and makes a complaint, you're going to have a little problem because New York City is really strict. And it was very interesting to hear you talk about, and in the literature to hear about animals that like how do we look at our environment, how do we coexist with different kind of animals. And New York City is still at the point where there's certain ones that are allowed and others that aren't. This is a snake that came in. Really a harmless snake. That's our IT guy who's just, he suited up. He suited up. He said, don't worry, it's not harmful. And he's like, all right, well, let me get my gloves on. And so there he is at the computer, but handling a snake that came in Brooklyn. That snake actually came in from Staten Island. The interesting thing about the snake was we got a call from a person in Staten Island who said, there's a snake in my house, I saw it in my oven, I don't know what to do, I haven't cooked in 2 weeks. And we said, okay, fine, we'll come and we'll check it out. We didn't see anything. And so we get a call from her the next day and she said, I put glue traps all over my apartment. And we were like, oh my gosh. So anyway, we wound up catching the snake. We just waited a little bit and came out of hiding. The next one is a coyote. We get a lot of these, actually. This coyote was found right off the West Side Highway in a garage, just in a vacant garage, just lying there. This is actually now back at the shelter. You can see we gave him a toy, gave him a blanket. He's kind of curled up in the corner. It's really not a pet. Kind of looks like a dog, but it wasn't. And again, we contact wildlife sanctuaries. We contact the individuals that have permits and also have the place for a wild coyote. The next slide is a peacock. And actually one of these plaques is about the peacock. This came from a high school in Queens from their agriculture program. And wanted to get away. I don't know, too many high school students, The next one is another, here's the cobra. Right? Can you believe this? Right? I'm telling you, this is the best job I've ever had. There's never a dull moment, ever. What is that? Right? So this is where is this one? This is a cobra, and what happened here is the owner of the apartment got arrested, and he had 2 of these. So these came in. Yeah, our IT person did not touch this guy. This is a monitor lizard. This thing can be huge, right? This one is 3 feet. What happened here, this was in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and the tenant moved out, but left her lizard. And there was like lots of grass outside, and like the new tenants saw it, and it was like the grass was moving around, so they called us, and you know, we couldn't find it, and so we said, all right, we're gonna set some traps, like for cats, you can trap feral cats, and then you can have them spayed or neutered. So we got a cat trap, and we got it after a couple of days, and I have to tell you, that tenant was like, we walked on water for her, she was so happy, but that's like, you know, if I saw that in New York City, I'd be a little bit alarmed. And again, that's not the kind of pet that you could have. But that just gives you really a snapshot of really the animal world in New York City. It's more than just the cute and fuzzy, you know, pets, and it's really about responsible pet ownership. And sometimes you go a little out there, but and it's great if you don't get caught. But when you do, you. So anyway, so that's our story of 30,000 characters. Thank you.